At 3:38 in the morning, a tanker entered the Strait of Hormuz with only minutes to spare. In 2 minutes, Iranian coastal radar would sweep the lane again. In 3, the tanker's stern would enter the narrowest part of the route. And after that, stopping would become more dangerous than moving. The ship was over 1,000 feet long, a moving wall of steel, fuel, and momentum. It could not turn like a patrol boat. It could not stop on command. Every correction had to be planned long before the ship actually responded. But ahead of it, under the black water, were the weapons Iran believed could seal the strait. Mines. No radar beam, no engine heat, no missile plume. Just silent explosives waiting below the surface. And that was the point. Iran did not need to sink every tanker. It did not need to defeat the US Navy in a surface battle. It only needed every captain, every insurance company, and every shipping firm to believe the same thing. The next ship could be theirs. That is how a minefield controls a waterway. Not through firepower, through uncertainty. So that night, the first vessel into the danger zone was not a destroyer. It was not the tanker. It was a small unmanned surface vessel, barely visible against the water, crawling ahead of the convoy, with sonar scanning beneath its hull. On the screen behind the fleet, the seafloor began to appear in fragments. Rocks, anchor chains, old metal debris, sediment, and possible mines. In Hormuz, danger did not need to be clear. Uncertainty was enough. Iran understood that better than anyone. The Strait of Hormuz is not just another stretch of water. It is one of the most important energy corridors on Earth. If ships stop moving there, markets far beyond the Gulf feel it. That made mines the perfect weapon. They were cheap, quiet, patient. They did not need to chase a target. They did not need to transmit. They did not need to expose a radar. They only had to wait. Missiles leave launch trails. Radars reveal positions. Drones can be seen. But a mine says nothing. It turns war from a question of who fires first into a question of who dares to move first. Iran believed that was enough. The United States had carriers, destroyers, aircraft, surveillance drones. But none of those could prove the water in front of a tanker was safe. And clearing the entire strait was not the answer. Hormuz was too narrow, too crowded, too expensive to misread. If the US Navy spent days clearing every suspicious patch of water, Iran had already achieved its goal. The blockade did not need to last forever. It only needed to stop movement long enough to shake the system. But if a tanker pushed forward and struck a mine, every ship behind it would stop. So the problem became smaller and much harder. The US did not need to clear the entire strait. It needed one path, one narrow path, accurate enough for a 100,000-ton tanker to follow. The first wave into the edge of the minefield was unmanned. Surface drones moved along the danger zone, cutting back and forth across the suspected lane. Underwater vehicles moved slower, closer to the bottom, checking the most dangerous returns from the side. Above them, US drones watched the Iranian coast for radar activation, missile launcher movement, or fast attack craft leaving port. Every suspicious sonar return became a red point. At first, the screen filled with them. That was the brilliance of the minefield. The terror was not that every red point was a mine. It was that nobody knew which ones were not. The Navy did not need courage. It needed classification. Which returns were rocks, which were debris, which were chains, and which were explosive devices capable of tearing open the bottom of a tanker. The unmanned vessel kept moving. Sonar passes layered over one another. Underwater drones rechecked the worst contacts. The fleet's data link stitched those returns into a live map of the seafloor. Then the first blue line appeared. It was not a safe highway. It was a gap, a narrow, uncomfortable gap between red points. To the left, a cluster of high-risk contacts. To the right, shallow water and debris. In the middle, one route that might work. And that was enough. A blockade does not have to be destroyed to fail. It only has to be opened. The mines were still there. The danger was still real, but the unknown was beginning to lose power. Then the first test almost failed. Before the tanker entered, a drone ran the full length of the blue route. The first section was clean. The middle section held. Then, near the narrowest turn, a new contact appeared on the sonar screen. It was not on the original map. It was not in the last scan, and it sat just off the right edge of the safe lane. It could have been scrap metal. It could have been a drifting anchor mine. Behind the drone, the tanker waited, but it could not wait forever. The longer it sat in the approach lane, the more time Iranian radar had to rebuild the track. The more time drones had to get closer. The more time missile crews had to move into position. But the tanker could not simply push ahead. A ship that large does not just follow a line. Its bow may stay inside the lane while its stern swings outside it. The commander had two choices: stop the movement and admit the lane was not reliable. or send a second underwater drone closer to the contact and find out what it was. The second drone descended. No lights, no weapons, just sonar and cameras. It approached from the front, then circled to the side. Every movement had to be gentle. If the object was a mine, a collision, a pressure change, or even the wrong disturbance in the water could turn a question into an explosion. Minutes passed. Then the image cleared. It was not a mine body, it was a piece of metal caught on an old chain. The lane stayed open, but it became narrower. The blue line was redrawn. The tanker would have to turn earlier, hold a steadier speed, and avoid major corrections during the most dangerous 2 minutes of the transit. At 3:41, the first tanker entered the mine lane. Nobody on the bridge spoke. Ahead of it, the unmanned surface vessel kept scanning. Underwater drones watched the edges of the route. Overhead, surveillance drones stared at the Iranian coast. Farther back, a US destroyer held position. It could defend against missiles, it could defend against fast boats, but it could not steer the tanker around a mine. The captain's instructions were simple. Do not drift, do not speed up, do not stop, stay on the blue line. That sounded easy. For a giant tanker, it was not. The current pushed it. The wind pushed it. The stern responded slower than the bow. The first red point slid past the starboard bow, close enough that anyone watching the screen would want to move left, but they could not. The second red point appeared near the port side of the hull. The unmanned vessel sent back an updated sonar picture. The blue line shifted slightly. The tanker could not jerk toward it. It could only correct slowly, letting the entire ship settle back into the lane. Then the third red point appeared. This one was near the stern. The bow had passed. The midsection had passed. But the stern had not. That is the terror of a ship this large. You can think you are clear while the most vulnerable part of the maneuver is still behind you. The captain did not accelerate. He did not stop. The tanker kept moving. Seconds passed. No explosion. More seconds. Still nothing. Then the stern cleared the final red point. The first tanker was through. No fireball, no water column, no blast across the night. And that was the most important sound in the strait. Nothing. In mine warfare, silence can be victory. Then the real test began. As the first ship cleared the lane, Iranian coastal radar came alive. Signals appeared along the shoreline. Missile launchers began moving near the coast road. Iran had realized what was happening. The US was not waiting. It was not clearing the entire strait. It was moving tankers through one by one. The second tanker was already at the entrance. This time, there was less time. If the Navy waited, Iranian radar would keep refining the track. If the convoy pulled back, the first tanker would become an exception, not a breakthrough. If the second tanker continued, it would have to pass through the same narrowed lane under growing Iranian observation. The order came through. Continue. The second tanker entered as Iranian radar swept the water. Overhead, drones watched a missile launcher rotate toward a firing position. Below the surface, the blue line still held. Above it, time was running out. The tanker captain could not see the mines, but he could see the countdown. 1 minute, 40. 1 minute, 20. 1 minute. Then the unmanned vessel sent back a sharper side scan image. A red contact near the tanker's port quarter was not debris. It was real. The lane narrowed again. The second tanker could not stop. It was already too deep into the route. Reversing a vessel that size out of a mine lane was not an option. Turning around was impossible. Accelerating would swing the stern out of the blue line. It had only one choice. Keep moving. The red point slid along the stern. Iranian radar kept sweeping. The missile launcher kept moving. The destroyer began tracking possible firing positions. But the tanker could not care about any of that. It had to stay on the line. 10 seconds. 5, 3. The stern cleared the contact. The second tanker was through. Iran did not fire, because firing would expose the radar and missile network to the US kill chain. But not firing meant watching another tanker pass through a waterway Iran believed it had sealed. That was when the minefield began working against itself. Mines are powerful because they do not have to reveal anything, but once the US drew a usable lane through them, Iran had to expose other systems to stop the movement. Radars, launchers, fast boats, command links. The invisible weapon had forced the visible ones to move. The second tanker cleared the strait. A third followed behind it, spaced far enough away to prevent one mistake from becoming a chain disaster. The US Navy had not cleared Hormuz. It had not destroyed every mine. It had not made the water safe. It had proved something more dangerous for Iran. The strait could still move. The mines were still there. The red points were still there. The danger was still real. But the blue line was there too. For a tanker, that was enough. That is the cold shift in modern naval warfare. For decades, a minefield's greatest weapon was fear. If you did not know where the mines were, you had to assume they were everywhere. If you did not know which route was safe, every route was dangerous. But unmanned systems change that equation. A mine does not become harmless when a drone finds it, but it becomes knowable. It can be marked, classified, mapped, avoided. And once that happens, a minefield stops being a wall. It becomes a problem to route around. Hormuz did not get wider that night. Iran's mines did not disappear. But the old assumption failed. The side that controls the strait is not always the side that plants the danger. Sometimes it is the side that maps it first. If you want more breakdowns of modern warfare, drones, missiles, naval blockades, and battlefield reversals like this, subscribe to the channel and visit the homepage for more stories. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.